Hello, lovelies. Today is Monday, December the 23rd, 2024. The sun is now in Capricorn because we have just had the winter solstice and the light is returning. Yay! So today we are in a waning moon and the new moon is on December the 30th. So we've got a week to go of this letting go energy. And the winter solstice was blue spectral hand. So the 11th year of red earth cycle. Think back to 11 years ago. What were you doing back then? Very powerful time. And tying in, of course, to the new codes coming in the winter solstice in 2012. So a big shift happening back then. So today we are on red cosmic earth and we're in the yellow castle. We're seeing the flowering, the manifestation, how grounded we feel on planet Earth. And today is all about the shift, the cosmic shift around our authenticity and being the beacon of light. And of course, the planet is Mercury, and we've got Mercury in Sagittarius going direct now. And we've got Mars is in Leo again at 4 degrees. So we're going back over the old ground around our taking action, looking back at what actions we've taken recently to do what we love, our heart's desire, depending on where our ego is and whether that's a mature ego that has come into a blossoming and flowering from a healing space, or whether we are still running an old program around wounding and immaturity, which is so key. So the cards for today, White Wizard. The moon goddess Ixchel is how I see White Wizard. And so remembering that we're in a 13-year cycle, we're in year 6, Blue Storm. How are we doing with our empowerment issues? And is the magic flowing through us that the universe wants us to connect to right now? We've got the Ace of Swords, new mindsets, new thoughts, and the Three of Discs, which is key for the Capricorn energy as well. So doing that inner work to create new structures. That's what Red Earth's all about. Planet is Uranus. And major arcana today, the Empress. Beautiful card. How we co-create with the divine, sacred feminine that's coming back into balance through us healing our shadow stories. And so I decided to make a video today because tomorrow we go into White Dog and we're going to be refining over the holiday season, which of course is always really powerful, especially when we're around our family. And or if you're not around your family, the people who are playing out the roles for our family, because in the holograph, that is very much how it is working. I have been carrying on reading the Mayan Code, which is so powerful, highly recommend it. It was written in 2007. And there are some prophecies in there, which some of them happened and some of them didn't happen, but all very, very interesting. So if you get a copy of this book, and I actually got one from my library, I just ordered a secondhand one for myself because I left my copy back in the UK. I didn't bring all my books with me. But I have been making lots of notes and I have been focusing on my personal structure again. So, my personal structure again, this is what this is all about. So, I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to find the time to write a book in 2025 which talks about how to use this amazing Zolkin on a personal level because I am in my 14th year of it now. And so reading the Mayan code, again, so much amazing information there about the bigger picture and other codes that people have met, timelines. Always love Barbara Hand Clow's books. And so I want to write my own version of 14 years of experience now of working with coding on a personal level and also with clients, bigger picture, and using astrology and a manual really to navigate for all of us to share the wealth of this information because it is so powerful and it's what it was created for to help us understand. So, if you have a copy of this book, I just want to give you some key notes. Page 174 is to do with health, the medical model. That's very important and very accurate as well about things that are transforming, things that are coming to light now, especially since 2020. And as I've mentioned in past videos, this calendar runs in 5-year cycles. And so next year we are going to be repeating the cycle of 2020. And that's when all the lockdowns happened. This is when, according to this book, and Barbara Hand Clow's predictions and understanding of astrology, and she is what really switched me on to astrology. The first book that I got was The Liquid Light of Sex, Kundalini Rising, was given to me by a dear friend who is a blue cosmic hand, Penny. Didn't understand any of it at the time, but I started reading it and it totally made sense to me intuitively. So that was the trigger to awaken that process in me. And this is happening faster and faster for all of us now. So, in terms of the cycle that she's talking about, this is the Jupiter and Saturn conjunction, which was extremely powerful in May 2000. And if you look at what happened just after that, in that new millennium in 2001, that is very, very significant. People who are in power, who have this awareness of information, I had no awareness back then intellectually about astrology, really. I think I got my first book from a friend and that sparked an interest, but I didn't really engage with it. So people in power who were aware of Jupiter and Saturn coming together. So Jupiter representing money, Saturn representing structure. This occurs every 20 years. And so particularly in America, certain structures were then very powerfully controlled by government because of what happened in 2001. So that event allowed certain things to happen that changed the dynamic for human beings so powerfully. And I'm sure if you're watching this video, you all know what I'm referring to. This cycle repeated, of course, in 2020. And I always find that I'm reading these things at the perfect time to remember and start to work powerfully around recognizing what is happening out in the wider world around the people who are in control in that respect. And then how that has affected me personally as well, and how to really focus on healing what that has meant for me. I knew at that time that it was huge. I knew back in 2020 it was coming. I didn't know exactly what it was. I thought we had more time, and quite often the case, I think that we often think we've got more time. So just to pay attention to that. So basically, what I'm trying to say is we will be having a repeat of 2020 in 2025 in terms of the Zolkin 5-year cycle. We won't be having another Jupiter and Saturn conjunction until 2040. So that's a heads up. Put that date in your diary because that's going to be significant for sure. And who knows where we'll be at that time. The most important thing really for using the Zolkin is for personal change and mapping your own family dynamic. And so basically over the last, including today, 13 days, we're looking at what has come to light around what needs to shift for us around how we feel ungrounded. So if we are experiencing symptoms literally in our body where we feel dizzy, where we don't feel safe, where we feel I've got to move or I've got to move something in my environment, I've got to change something that's creating toxicity for me. At this time of year, this is really, really big just before the winter solstice because it is the darkest before dawn. So I've just been working intuitively myself and with other people who are a reflection of me. I am another you. People come into each other's awareness to do this dance. For me, I know that primarily my ancestral patterning, the challenges that I'm going through correspond to my grandmother on my matriarchal line. And so I know I need to go into more depth about that now. A memory came up on Facebook around one of my ancestors. She was married on the winter solstice. I'd forgotten about that. And that was Susanna Moon. So one of my relatives was called Moon, and she links into Richard Moon at Bolton Abbey. Some of my ancestors are buried there. And it's somewhere that I've always been drawn to, somewhere where I've always gone with other people to create healing. And also remembering that on planet Earth, all these amazing healing lines are there to be accessed at these sacred sites. And I'm not familiar with them yet in my locality in Florida, but back in England, the Michael and Mary line, the Albion line, for example, I've always instinctively lived near them or been drawn to them. And they were there before the churches. This is why people go back to certain places at certain key times, like the solstices. We are remembering our connection to Mother Earth. And when we go to these places, we are activated. It's like we have this barcode within us. We are activated. And this goes back thousands and thousands of years. So many of the people who live in the United States come from Europe as well. So again, tracing lineage back to where we hailed from can be very powerful, and looking at the European patterns, which again, the European history that we know about, most of the empire building was initiated in Europe, and there's a mindset that goes with that. Just went to see Gladiator 2, which was very powerful, hard to watch really because of the amount of violence in it. But again, so powerful around recognizing what happened to people a long time ago, and the whole empire framework and what that meant for people. And I think it is so important to understand this if we want to get clear about what has created trauma for us and how it has manifested to the level that it's at today. Lots of things really haven't changed, and in some ways they have expanded significantly to be a lot more covert and a lot more subtle. The people who are in positions of power have learned lots of tools to use, which is why it's very important that people who are wanting to come into their sovereignty and create new frameworks become very aware of these and rewire, which again is what Red Earth Tribe is all about, rewire our neural pathways and our new thinking mindsets to align with the Great Mother at this time and the return of the sacred feminine. So another one of the key dates is 1998 winter solstice in the Mayan code. And back at that time, the winter solstice sun moved into alignment with the plane of our galaxy. My daughter and my granddad are white galactic wizard, and her birthday is the 18th of December. And so realizing again that this is very significant. At that time, I think I mentioned this in the last video, there was a lot of solar activity, there was a lot of energetics coming in from the galaxy center. We were bombarded by plasma in August 98 from a collapsing star. This again is in the book, researched by Barbara Hand-Clow. And so this has given me a whole different level of awareness around that. One of the key things that's happening at the moment as well is all the activity with the drones in the US in particular. And so again, to go back to page 183 and check that out, it talks about that. So on a personal level, remember, we create our reality on planet Earth. It's a combination, it's a theatre production. we're all involved in it. And we talk about projections in the psychological framework. When people are projecting, often we can say that this is because somebody is doing something, it's framed as a negative, and they're projecting their own inner shadow onto somebody else. And I think this is such a limiting framework. We all project. This is my understanding. We all channel. We are all, in our whole biology, our makeup, we are all a combination of our ancestral history and also our programming of our culture. And there has been such a huge amount of programming going on through media for such a long time now. Since I was a child, that's when it really started to expand. In terms of understanding that, that is so important for people now, because what happened in 2020 was orchestrated using awareness. So, for example, psychology, yes, how to create fear in people that is so great that they will give up their autonomy, they will give up their sovereignty. And I know this has been such a topic of conversation around so many people all of this time, for the past, I can't believe that it's 4 years, just cannot believe that 4 years has gone by. The truth is now coming out around actual evidence. So again, it's very difficult to get people to see evidence when they have accepted a story, when they have accepted propaganda, basically, and they've been in a fear state, and they also that they have wanted to maintain their own personal status quo. And so they're willing to do anything to do that. So, for example, going to movies, going to theatre, restaurants, travel, what are we willing to do in order to allow that to continue? And this is what people have to become very aware of. And this is where the maturation process comes in, the integrity comes in, and changing the inner place, doing the inner work to let go of the fear. Because when we are operating from a place of fear, we are totally disempowered. We are totally back in the past. All our ancestral fear patterns are being manipulated, which is why it's so important that we become aware of them. So that's the red castle, or the red wave spell, or the red 13-year cycle that we're in. The white is around refinement, which is what we're about to go in. It's why it's so important at this time to work with this energy, because white dog is the 10th mind sign. It is the ancestral patterning. It's also the soul tribe as well. And so the more that we become awake, then we have to really start to refine and discover what is the truth, which can be difficult to navigate because there is so much propaganda and control out there. And apologies, and to then go into transformation, which is blue castle. And then the yellow castle is where we see the flowering. So we're seeing the flowering now. We're seeing the manifestation of the journey that began back in July, in particular, in this 260-day cycle. So it's all good, even though it feels terrible and it's not a great experience and the behavior, is not good. But on one level, it's all part of our process of human evolution and maturation. And, remember, this is what this calendar is all about. This is what this time is all about, is we are waking up. We are Sleeping Beauty, we're coming out of the spell. We are starting to realize that we've been misled, misguided. And that can be huge emotionally as well. I feel so sad that so many people have become ill, they've lost their lives, even. People are stressed out. There's so much fraudulent activity going on. Life is very, very intense. In so many ways, it's become so complicated. Think back to before mobile phones. Think back to before the computers. This lie that we've been sold that everything was going to get better, we were going to have better quality of life. And, in some ways, materially, yes, we can say that we have, that's happened. But what have we given up? What have we given up? Our freedom, the ability to be still, to relax, to eat healthy food, to connect to people, and to feel at peace, to be out in nature, to be autonomous and not codependent and not stuck in the slavery model that has just changed its face. But in reality, nothing has changed on a deeper level. And that's because we have to change on a deeper level. And there are so many tools. I know I say this on every video, this is my passion. Emotional freedom technique will help anybody, everybody start to come into emotional centering, understand how your psychology works, how your biology works, not to be dependent on anything to calm you down apart from learning how to calm yourself down using these tools. Yes, there are lots of ways to do this. Emotional freedom technique not only helps us to soothe and calm and come into a really amazing space of peace, no matter what's going on. It also helps us to rewire our neural pathways and to release whatever's still stuck in our fight or flight. And this is why everything is happening on planet Earth, because people are still running these old programs. So they're still operating from their human being mindsets and biology, the amygdala, the ancestral storylines, literally, that we repeat literally. And so instead of coming into our center and operating from our infinite minds, our eternal minds, which takes a lot of work. It does take a lot of work. It's complicated. But the more that we allow ourselves to feel, instead of trying to suppress those feelings, learn the tools, emotional freedom technique, to work on ourselves every day, to release ourselves from this old spell. It literally is an old spell that is running, an old story that is running. And this is why the universe is bringing us these challenges. So nothing is outside of the divine evolution, no matter how dark it may seem. We have created this. We are the universe, and this is what is coming to light so that we can come into healing. And it's so important to do the healing. Meditation is really important. Positive thinking is really important. But remember, we live in a human being body. It's why we're here. Our body is vibrational. And everything that I've just said to you about projection, we keep projecting the old story until we heal. And then we get the solution from that clearer space. So it's so powerful to understand that. Capricorn energy that we're in now is the masculine on one level, although it's actually a feminine sign. It's about the earth. It's about a combination of energies, really. And so nothing is, black and white. It's complex, but do your research, check it out. And it's about being disciplined, being the disciple. Again, we can look at the stories about Christ at this time. And again, if you look deeper, you can see that this is also a metaphor. We can access Christ consciousness ourselves. There's a whole physiological process that happens with that as well, which is to use a specific breath work. Again, do your research out there. All of this wisdom has been hijacked and used in a very debased way. Again, this goes back thousands of years, where people in power who are not enlightened people are looking to hijack energy and sacred times, sacred systems. So it's all out there on the internet. Just do your research and set that intention. On a personal level, many of the things that we have become familiar with, comfort zone, programming, wanting to stay, doing the same thing, most of those things are not true. And they make us ill. That's the simple truth about it. Many of the health and medical models are designed to create illness, disempowerment, in order for a codependent relationship to exist. So we're going to have to unpick all of that on a personal and collective level, so that we can remember that our bodies can actually heal themselves and be very healthy when we create the right environment for them to do that. So a lot of these unpickings and transformations are around stopping doing old models. And we have to become an expert on everything. Basically, this is the self-empowerment model. You have to question everything and be a critical thinker. And the more that you release your emotional baggage and things that take you out of your center, the more clarity comes, because originally we intuitively knew what was good for us, and we could be honest. We could speak our truth without fear. And of course, because of these historic events, the wars, the empires, the family dynamics, the repression of the sacred feminine, all of that trauma is what is holding us back from being a free flowing human being. We are in a magical universe. We can create a magical life of beauty and joy and peace. This is the truth. All that we need to do is start to focus on ourselves. And that is the key to everything, because each person creates the hologram that we're in. So it's all about those little pictures, those little pixels that make up that bigger picture. Each one has the key to set everyone else free through setting themselves free. So I hope you found that useful, and please do check out Emotional Freedom Technique yourself. Please check out the Mayan Code and anything else that you feel drawn to at this time. You know, on a personal level, what has challenged you, what has ungrounded you. And in order for that to stop, we can't stop all the 10,000 things that bring us out. The thing we can control is our emotional mind, is our reaction, is our behavior. And that is the most important thing right now. So lots of love. Hope you have a wonderful time and a peaceful, loving, joyful time. And I'll see you soon. Bye for now.